Well, hello! Welcome back to my channel, Joshana here, to talk about some friggin' books. So, Elle at Elliot Brooks recently did these two videos, and a couple people have done them since then, so she was like, oh, I'll tag people to do it. So the first one I'm doing is the books I hated or didn't like, but should have loved. So basically, these are books that had all the makings, all the ingredients that normally would work for me, but for whatever reason, in this case, they didn't work for me. And some of these I didn't hate, I just didn't like them as much as I thought I would, or there were just elements of them that I was like, what the fuck is this? So I say hated, but I didn't necessarily hate all of these. And this isn't like a comprehensive list, this is just a handful that I came up with. The first one is Daughter of the Pirate King by Trisha Levenseller. So this is young adult fantasy with like a badass pirate chick who's like a pirate princess. That sounds like a blast in a glass to me. And that's what I thought. And I read YA and I like a, strong female character. I like to read a lot where it's more varied than just like, I'm a fighter chick, so I'm strong. But I do still love the fighter chick who's strong. Like, it's a fun time to read about that chick to me. But yeah, this one just kind of fell flat. I just didn't care all that much. I don't know if it was kind of short, so I couldn't really get into it, but for whatever reason, I just wasn't super invested in it. It wasn't like a book I hated. I think it was 3 stars I gave it, or 2.5 or 3 stars, but it was just kind of like there. After I read it, I forgot almost everything about it. And then Trail of Lightning by Rebecca Roanhorse. Again, this one we have like mythology, Navajo mythology, if I remember correctly, or the Diné people. So there's like all this lore and gods and demons and fucking awesome shit like that. And again, this badass fighter girl, and it was a little darker and like a little graphic in parts, so it was a little like more gritty and whatnot. But I don't know. Again, I just didn't get super invested. This is, again, not one that I hated by any means. I didn't like it as much as I really expected to, based on all the things I'd heard about it and just that premise. Like I said, it has all the ingredients, and I should have enjoyed it, But I just kind of was like, oh, that was okay. A Big Ship at the Edge of the Universe by Alex White. If memory serves me, I'll have it up on the screen to correct myself if I'm wrong. Yeah, this one didn't necessarily have all of the ingredients that I would normally like. Sci-fi being the biggest one that is very hit or miss for me. But we had like a diverse, queer cast of characters, a couple different points of view, if I remember correctly. Or at least it was like a larger cast of characters. There wasn't just one person that we were following. It's like funny and kind of sarcastic and like witty, and like the characters, their banter with each other, their dialogue was like a fun time and all of that. And usually that will make me just eat a book right up, but I DNF'd this one. And for me, I think this one was just a little too sci-fi centric for me. All the talk about the technology and the mechanics and this and that just doesn't really do much for me. I'm one of those people, sorry, call me dumb if you want, I really don't care. I get like bogged down with it, and I don't know why, because like I'll read a fantasy book that's talking about like swords and shit. I don't know shit about that either. But for some reason, my brain hears like this science jargon and it just like shuts down. The Irish Princess by somebody. I'll have it on the screen. This is a historical fiction about an Irish princess. Hello. And basically see, now I've got to try to remember. I believe the premise was that like her father gets overthrown, and she finds herself at the English court and wants vengeance for her family. So she's trying to like infiltrate. And I'm not like heavily, I'm not some person that's like, I'm an Irish American, but I don't have like that much. But when I look at my like ancestry, it is heavily Irish. My great-grandparents were Irish. And so I'm always like interested to read more about like Irish lore and history, and you know, reading about this like Irish princess and this historical fiction. It sounded so fun, and like she sounded like a sneaky little badass, you know? And then she wasn't, and the book just kind of left me feeling like, all right. If memory serves me, basically she like was very idealistic and very like, I can do it, but had no skills whatsoever to do any of this stuff. And I just remember feeling really like disappointed. Salt to the Sea by Ruta Sepetys. This is one, again, I did not hate this. I think I gave this 3 or 3.5 stars. But everything I had ever heard about it was how emotionally impacted people were. And maybe I'm just like an insensitive bitch. I don't know. It was good, and I certainly wasn't like flippant toward it's World War II historical fiction, but it's kind of written in like verse. And you have a few different characters that you're following, trying to escape, and whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I think because of the format, I couldn't get that invested, so it wasn't that emotional to me. Now for one I did kind of hate, and that is Dark Dawn by Jay Kristoff. This one I thought I would really enjoy. I thoroughly enjoyed Nevernight. I still have it on my shelves somewhere. I really, really liked Nevernight. I probably will reread Nevernight at some point and just pretend like the rest of the series didn't happen. Because God's Grave, I didn't love as much. I was already a little like, okay. Mostly though, and that's why I was so excited for Dark Dawn, mostly I think I just didn't like God's Grave because of the whole gladiator training camp premise. That was like most of the book, and that's just not really my jam. Don't love that in a story. So I was like, okay, this just isn't like really my shit, so it's fine. The ending too, though, like it felt a little contrived and forced, and I wasn't surprised by anything that happened in the ending. But yeah, I was really hyped for Dark Dawn. Like, all right, conclusion, it's gonna be badass, it's gonna be like Nevernight, like I can't fucking wait. And then just all the disappointment. All the disappointment. I mean, I'm not gonna go into it, but yeah. I don't know what the fuck happened there. Dreams of Gods and Monsters by Laini Taylor. I really enjoyed the first book in that series, Daughter of Smoke and Bone. This is fantasy, YA fantasy with gods and magic and all this cool stuff, and a main character who is like part of this magical godlike world, but she doesn't know it, and then she learns it. There's like this epic romance in this series that is meant to be like so gut-wrenching, and like they're just so destined to be together, and it's like this Romeo and Juliet style, like angsty, tragic romance, right? So the second book happened, and I was into it. I was like, okay, but I didn't love it as much as the first book. And then the third book. Laini Taylor's writing style just doesn't work for me for some reason. And y'all know it's not because I don't like flowery, you know, beautiful writing, because I really like other authors for that very reason. But hers specifically just, I don't know, by that third book, I was like, oh my God, shut up already. I always reference this because this is I got like 60% of the way through the book. I was struggling, but I was like, everyone says how great it is. I want to see. But then I got to this point, and I just remember this part. I don't remember if this part was earlier or later, but like, I think it was earlier, and then when I got like later into it, something else similar happened where I was just like, all right, I can't. But yeah, there was like this whole fucking chapter, damn near, or maybe legitimately, of the main character, I can't even remember their fucking names now, but of her, they were like standing with a bunch of people, talking and strategizing like battle plans, if I remember correctly. And the main character was just standing there looking at her man, thinking about how great he was and how much she loved him and all this they've been through and this and that, and oh my God, and how she feels so deeply for him. And I'm not kidding, it's like a whole fucking chapter, a whole section. And like, okay. And then the next section was the dude in the same scene thinking about her. I was like, I don't fucking care. Like, I don't need this much. Like, I don't know. It feels like, it just felt like the author was like, oh, a lot of words means they care about each other a lot. I was like, no, you can say this shit. You can be profound with like one fucking sentence. You don't gotta fucking write a whole chapter of her thinking about him and then another chapter of him thinking about her. I don't fucking care. We got shit to do. Yeah. Anyway, so I DNF'd that one and I really didn't like it. But I love like epic, like fated mates, like fated love, like angsty, that Romeo and Juliet style like thing. I love that. It just did not work for me here. And then there is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. I just didn't care for it. I wouldn't say I hated it, but I disliked it a fair amount. Some of the shit in the beginning, I mean like the training shit, I don't love that. And some of it didn't make sense. She's carrying this pig up a mountain. Like, I'm sorry, even if you're doing this every day, at some point that pig is gonna get, like, have you seen pigs? Unless it's a teacup fucking pig, there is no way this chick, I don't care if she's been doing it every day since the pig was a baby, at some point it gets too big where you can't fucking lift this goddamn pig. But she's carrying it up a mountain on her back, like, no, she's not. And she didn't have any like magical fucking abilities. So that kind of annoyed me. And then we like time jumped a bunch and it was weird. And then towards the end, some shit happened with the plot that like literally didn't matter, where our main character got captured for a minute for like a chapter and then released or escaped. I don't even remember. But like, why? What was the point? It didn't seem like it had a point when I read it. And I was just like, what the Yeah, it was super disappointing. But I mean, it's fantasy, epic fantasy. It's not a historical fantasy necessarily. Inspired by and based on actual historical things. It's really dark and gritty and like really intense in parts, like content and trigger warnings for all the things basically, which I don't mind. I like that sometimes, when it's done well and whatnot, and those elements of the book didn't bother me, I liked that stuff. But yeah, and like someone like kind of learning and growing and coming into their own to be this badass, all sounds great to me. But yeah, for whatever reason in this book, it just did not work for me. So there we go. That is all for books that I hated or disliked on some level that I should have loved thoroughly. As always, thank you so much for your time. Hope that you guys have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.